Yeah, and to piggyback off what you're saying too, because think about, because I was telling Marcus this, because I was talking about the Great Migration, right? So in the early when people were moving to get away from Jim Crow, right? To get away from the Jim Crow South, like post slavery and everything like that. It's just like when you think about all of these cities, you got to think about where a lot of Black people migrated to, right? So like some of the biggest epicenters um were like New York, right? Because you got people, you got the Harlem. That's where the Harlem Renaissance came from. Then you got, that's why it's a whole lot of us in Chicago. That's why it's a whole lot of us in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? You
Tulsa.
all in them states. You know what I'm saying? And St. Louis was literally one of those epicenters for Black people. You know what I'm saying? It was literally a Black Mecca. Like even when you think about North St. Louis, South St. Louis, that's why all of us are in those areas, because when they built that up in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, those were our epicenters where we thrived.
No, them was white. Them was white. You knew where the blacks lived in
Those
St.
is
Louis, where the arch was at.
really
Downtown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where the arch was at, it was row houses. Row houses, old Negro row houses. It was a community. It was hundreds, it was thousands of Black families. And when they built that arch, all that area downtown, they tore all that up, ran all the Black folks out. They put them in the projects. See, North St. Louis was white in the 40s, 50s, and the 60s. See, I can answer your history. Y'all up my alley. I can talk to you.
let's go.
They used to have the thing in Fairground Park. If you look it up, it was the riots. They called it the Fairground Riots. It was a riots because it was like in the 1950s that that it was some Black people wanted to go swimming in the swimming pool, and the white folks over there in North St. Louis lost their mind, and they had riots. They were trying to beat and kill Black folks. You know, the first White Castle was on Kings Highway. White Castle, they used to wear roller skates,
Highland.
come out to the car. You know, uh, the not Matthew Dickey, Herbert Hoover Boys Club. That was Sportsman's Park. That's where the Cardinals played. Them
Mm.
was all white neighborhoods right next to Sportsman's Park. They tore it down now, but it used to be a big building right there at Grand and St. Louis Avenue. It was called Carter. I think it was Bradley Carburetor or Carter Carburetor. I think it was Bradley Carburetor. It was one of the it built carburetors, and it was one of the high people got good jobs working there. That whole area on Grand there was nice. It the Black folks wasn't in none of them places. Black folks wasn't in South St. Louis, North St. Louis, and everything. Black folks also wasn't in East St. Louis. East St. Louis was predominantly white.
Now that's hard to imagine.
East St. Louis was on the come up, was
Now
real
that's really
nice.
hard to imagine.
Well, you better believe it. East St. Louis was nice. I worked with a white guy that just retired about uh, 10 years ago now, that was born in East St. Louis, that went to East St. Louis High School, that they parents, they was building that up, and then they decided to move over from the east side to the north side, then North County, then out to St. Charles. That was the plight of the white folks. They moved from North County to out to St. Charles, and the white folks that lived in South County, they moved south out in South County. You know, and that's how they moved. And then the lower class whites, they stayed in South St. Louis, and then the Black folks coming from the projects started moving over in the North City, and that was only in like the mid '60s, Marissa. Only in like the mid-60s, they started moving in North. And that's why it was so nice, because it was the first time that blacks uh, could own a house, you know. See, that's why people, you got to understand, as black people, people act like we should be doing so much. We're not that far off from being from Mississippi and the shanty houses and stuff. Black people just start getting homes and stuff like that, and being able to send their kids to school and get decent educations. Whereas the white folks been doing this since the 1800s. They've been able to send their kids to universities and go to schools and be doctors and lawyers and everything. And this is new for us. Although you're talking about maybe 50, 60 years, you know, and we doing some slipping in that time, you know, but it ain't even been 100 years. You know, people look back and say, well, you know, slaves got freed in 1862. But yeah, we wasn't free. You know, we couldn't vote. We couldn't get the jobs that we needed. We couldn't do things like that. So now, you know, you done went through things and opportunities coming up, and y'all got better opportunities, and your kids gonna have even more opportunities to make it. But in the meantime, if we ain't destroying ourselves and they helping us destroy ourselves, we doing a real good job. You know, so the people that's gonna make it just gonna have to make it, you know, and be successful and raise their kids. Like my man said, you know, it always gonna be somebody that make it. It always gonna be somebody that got a strong of one parent or two parent, and teach their kids the right way. And what you gotta hope is it becomes more people teaching their kids the right way.
But
Because
that's hard.
yeah,